Hello. So we're going to finish the other half of Roberta Laundrie's deposition, and just so you know, we'll go over, they settled the lawsuit with, the Petito settled the lawsuit with the Laundries, so they won't go to trial. They're done. They settled it. It's finished. Finished. I don't know. I hear something going on. Guys, I hear you in the Zoom. I hear you in the Zoom. I can hear you guys in the Zoom. Because my thing is on. For some reason, I have to go, hold on a minute. I have to go lower the volume, I guess. Hang on. Troublemakers. Okay, let's see. Roberta Laundrie. Roberta Laundrie. Here we go, deposition. Roberta. Where's the top of it? Okay. I'm going to go lower them because they're too loud. They're having too much fun over there. Okay, I lowered you guys now, troublemakers. All right? You're supposed to be watching me. All right, let's go. I don't know how anybody could want to watch anything but me. All right, let me get over here. I can hear you guys in the Zoom. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. Oh, my glasses are filthy. Why didn't anybody tell me? That's the reason I can't see. Let's see. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Farm Wife. We should keep everyone on track. I'll be like, we're supposed to be watching Carol, and there's a quiz after that. Kevin. I hear ya. I heard ya. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, darling. Okay, we were on page, I don't know where we were halfway through this. So hi to everybody. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Everybody could give it a thumbs up. That would be great, too. Okay, I think I'm about halfway through. I'm page 14, and I don't know how it took us so long to get there. But believe we were here, maybe here. Maybe here. Oh, I remember this when I was sick, when she said she thought she dialed him when she was sick. Okay, so I think I'm sorry, I just got confused on the date. August 16th, I called him at 3:30. Roberta says, what? Question. At 7 on August 16th, at 7:06. Roberta says, so we're looking at what line again? I'm sorry. Question. 3:34. Roberta answers. 3:34. August 16th at 3 in the morning? No. August 16th at 7:06 p.m. Roberta says. At 7:06 p.m. on August 16th, you called Anthony Bertolino's office. Roberta says, I called his office? Mr. Gilbert says, can I make a... Roberta says, what time is that? Mr. Gilbert says, can I make a point or maybe clarify something with you? The time that is showing here says UTC. Mr. Riley says, Mr. Gilbert says, which I just had to look up. I think that's like Googled Greenwich Mean Time. Mr. Riley, okay. Mr. Gilbert, so you know 1 a.m. It wouldn't have been 1 a.m. where she was or where Brian was, I believe. Mr. Riley, all right. Mr. Gilbert, that's not testimony. I just want to make sure, Mr. Riley, whatever UTC time it is so. Thank you, Taco, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Hello, Binky Heilman. The witness, Roberta. Okay. Question by Mr. Riley. But do you know why you would have been calling Attorney Bertolino's office at that time? Roberta. If I was calling... Question. Well, I'm sorry. Not at that time. Do you know why on August 16th you were calling Attorney Bertolino's office? Roberta says. How long was the call? Maybe I was just talking to one of the secretaries about... I know we had sold a property that he was investing with Chris, so maybe it was... I don't know. Question. Okay, give me a second here because I want to convert UTC time to Eastern time. Roberta. Okay. Mr. Gilbert. Tell me what you find. Mr. Bertolino. It's 1:57 p.m. UTC time now. Mr. Riley. Right now? Mr. Bertolino. So 4 hours ahead. Question. Mr. Riley. Okay, so it's 4 hours ahead. Then a phone call at 7 o'clock would have been 3 o'clock, okay? Roberta. Okay, so I did call the office now and then for other reasons, and I do have a friend that works in the office, and then we do investments with him, but I don't remember the reason at all I called him. Question. And to the extent that we previously talked about specific times with regards to your phone calls, the phone calls would actually have been 4 hours earlier than we talked about. Roberta. So when I called him at 1 in the morning? Question. You would have been calling him at 9 o'clock. Roberta. 9 o'clock? Okay. I was just calling. Question. Okay, by the way, after Brian and Gabby went on their trip, did you change her mailing address to have everything forwarded to New York? Roberta. I know she had wanted her mail forwarded, and I don't remember if she did it or I did it, but I know she wanted her mail forwarded. I don't remember. Question. Okay. Roberta. I know she had her mail forwarded. I don't remember if I helped her with it. I would help her with a lot of things, like sometimes she would have trouble with. Like I remember helping her look for a check in her check log. She didn't know how to do it, so I might have helped her do the mail, or maybe she asked me to do it. I don't recall, but I do remember she wanted her mail forwarded. Question. All right, let's turn to page 25, please, and look at line 399. On August 26th of 2021 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you contacted Attorney Bertolino's office again. Do you see that? Roberta. Yes. Question. Do you know why you contacted his office on that date? Roberta. August 26th? What was August 26th? No. How long was the call? I don't... Question. Prior to August 28th of 2021, did you have any reason to call Attorney Bertolino regarding your son, Brian? Roberta. Can you repeat it again? Question. Prior to August 28th of 2021, did you have any reason to call Attorney Bertolino regarding your son, Brian? Roberta. Not regarding Brian. Question. Okay, and if you look immediately at the next line down at 400, same date, 8/26 of 2021 at 3:36, about a half an hour after you called him, there was a call to your phone from his office. Do you see that? Roberta. On 8/26? So, I called his office at 17:07 and they must have called me back at 17:36. Question. Yes. Roberta. Yeah. Question. Again, do you know what the phone call was about? Roberta. No, I would just have to assume it was business related. Question. Okay. Turn to page 26, please, line 411. On August 28th at, it would have been 16, so that would be 4:18 in the afternoon, Brian placed a phone call to your home, correct? Roberta. Yes. Question. And according to my understanding of the record, that went to voicemail. Roberta. Okay. Question. And then the same day, at 5:38, Brian called you again, and again it went to voicemail. Do you see that? Roberta, yes, I do. Question. And then the same day, at August 28th, 2011, at 5:39, you and Brian had a phone call for 7 minutes and 23 seconds. Roberta, okay. Question. Do you recall what you spoke about? Roberta, yeah. Those I remember. I saw that he was trying to call me, but I was with my grandson on the beach, so I figured I'd call him tonight or something when I had a chance. And then, I guess he finally got a hold of me here, and I said I'm with blah 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 on the beach. I can't really talk. It's windy. I can't really hear. So he ended up just talking with the boy for a while. Question. Okay, so yesterday your husband said, well, I guess that wasn't the day the stuff hit the fan. I guess it's the next day. So your recollection is at this point, at 5:23, he was talking to your grandson? Roberta, yes. Question. And then down at line 418, that would have been at about 7:30, there was another phone call from Brian to you, correct? Roberta, yes. Question. And do you recall talking to him for 10 minutes and 13 seconds at that time? Roberta, you know, it's funny. I don't recall. I thought he only talked to the boy, but I guess I talked to him that day too, a little bit. I didn't remember it. Question. Do you know what you talked about? Roberta, probably just telling him about, I don't remember exactly, but probably just how are you doing and the race and... Question. Okay. Roberta, the boys talked about the race and everything. Question. On that same page at line 423, August 29th of 2021, at about 3:20 in the afternoon, there was a phone call placed to your phone from Brian, correct? Roberta, I see that one, and actually, I wanted to clarify. I just remembered something from the last phone call. I remember saying, I can't really talk long. I'm at the beach, but when I get home, we'll talk. Question. Okay. Answer from Roberta. So I did remember just now that other phone call. Question. Okay. How did Brian sound to you when he called on that day? When you said you couldn't talk and you were on the beach? Roberta, fine, normal. Do you recall, question, do you recall what this phone call was on August 29th at about 3:30, 3:20 in the afternoon? Roberta, yes. Question, what was that about? Roberta, I don't remember exactly which call it was. I don't know, but I remember that we had a long talk. I thought we talked for a long time, and I just told him all about our summer, what we were doing. I told him about the race. I told him about the weekend at Daytona. So I do remember that conversation. Question. This is the day that your husband and you had a phone conversation with him when the stuff hit the fan. Answer by Roberta. Yeah, I remember at the very tail end of that conversation with him where everything seemed fine, As we were saying goodbye, he all of a sudden completely changed, and he sounded very upset, and his voice was very upset, and I didn't know why, and I didn't want to push him, so we just said goodbye, but it left on he was very upset. And so when I got off the phone, I told Chris, Brian sounded upset. Maybe you should give him a call. Question. Well, according to the records that I have, your husband didn't talk to Brian until... I'll withdraw that. According to the records I have, you spoke with Brian for an extended period of time on the 29th. It looks like it's for a total of 54 minutes. Does that sound correct? Roberta, maybe that was the call where I said you should call Brian back. Question. Okay. Roberta, we talked twice that same day. Maybe we talked earlier and then talked again. I don't remember. Question. Well, I think this is just my interpretation of these records. I could be wrong, but if you add up the 36, 37, and the 1751, it totals 54:28. So that's why I'm thinking the phone call was, I don't know why they split it up, but that's what Roberta, oh, so it was one. You think it was one call. Question. It was one call. Roberta, maybe we got cut out and redialed or something. Question. Okay. Roberta, I don't know, Mr. Gilbert. And it looks to me, too, like the line 423 and the line 424, it's showing that they really began at the same time. Mr. Riley, yeah, that's why I think that. Mr. Gilbert, yeah, Mr. Riley, that's why I think that's a total period of the call. Question, Mr. Riley. So if you were on the phone for 55 minutes at that time, which would have been like from 4:30 to 5:30, your husband immediately after the phone call contacts Attorney Bertolino. According to the records that I had, do you know why after you got off the phone, or maybe even while you were on the phone with Brian, he contacted Attorney Bertolino? Roberta, I thought that he called Brian after he got off the phone with me and spoke with Brian, or Brian called him. Question. According to the records that I have, and I think I've reviewed them with your husband yesterday, he called Attorney Bertolino at 4:23 p.m. and he didn't call Brian until 4, about 20 minutes later. Roberta, oh, I don't know then. I'm confused. I'm not reading it right. Question. Well, did Brian tell you in the conversation that he needed a lawyer? Roberta, no. Question. And you can't explain why either immediately after you were speaking with Brian or during the phone call with your husband, your husband called Attorney Bertolino? Roberta, no, I thought he called Brian. Huh, I don't know. Question. Did you speak with Attorney Bertolino that day? Answer from Roberta. No. Oh, did I? Wow. I don't recall. Question. After the phone call that you had with Brian on the 29th, when is the next strike that? Your husband testified yesterday that Brian told him that Gabby was gone. Did Brian ever tell you that? Roberta. No. Question. Okay, how did you find out that Gabby was gone? Roberta. I guess Chris must have told me after he got off the phone with him. Question. Okay, and what did you understand gone to mean? Roberta. I wasn't sure. I don't even remember what I thought. I just know from the tone of Chris's voice it was something serious. Question. Okay. Your husband described his voice as frantic. Would you agree when you spoke with him he was frantic? Roberta. I would just say upset. I don't think he was frantic. He was definitely upset. He was very upset. He didn't sound like himself. I knew something was wrong. Question. And you didn't ask him what was wrong? Roberta. Well, it was as we were saying goodbye, and I didn't want to push him. And I just thought, well, maybe he's just sad to say goodbye. It wasn't until I got off that I thought, no, he sounded more than just sad. Question. You had a good relationship with your son? No response. Question. Yes? Roberta. Yes. Question. You knew he was upset? Yes? Roberta. Yes. Question. But you just said goodbye? Roberta. Yeah, I just thought he was sad to say goodbye. I don't like to. I figured if he had anything he wanted to talk about, he could talk about it. I don't like to push people and say, what's wrong? What's wrong? We were saying goodbye, and it was just at the tail end of the conversation. Question. Okay, so you knew he was upset, yes? Roberta. Yes. Question. Your husband told you that Gabby was gone, correct? Roberta. Yes. Question. Phone calls were made to Attorney Bertolino, correct? Answer. From Roberta. Right. Question. Why would you make a phone call to Attorney Bertolino if you didn't know what gone meant? Roberta. Well, Chris had told me Brian wanted him to call a lawyer. Question. And you didn't say why? Roberta. I think that's when Chris was telling me that Brian said Gabby's gone and please call a lawyer. Question. Okay, so if Gabby's gone, please call a lawyer. Doesn't that say to you she's dead? Roberta. I didn't know what to think. I don't remember if that crossed my mind or if I just was so nervous. I just thought he was in some kind of trouble. I didn't know. Question. What other possible explanation could there be for she's gone, please call a lawyer? Roberta. A lot of things ran through my head. Possibly they got into a fight and, you know, maybe she's going to press charges against him or something. I didn't know. Question. Well, did you... Roberta. I thought... Question. Did you ask? Roberta. Well, I didn't call Brian after that. I don't know if we talked again that day. Question. Your son's upset. Your husband says, he says Gabby's gone. Your husband says, call a lawyer. You call a lawyer and you never call your son back immediately and say, what's going on? What's happening? Roberta. I think I spoke to him finally later in the day. I think I thought I called him back that night, but you know, it was 2 years ago, and I don't remember exactly, but I thought I did call him back later that night, but by that point, I think our attorney had said, just don't talk to him about anything. He'll talk to Brian. Question. Can you tell me any possible option based on the circumstances as you knew them on August 29th that your son's upset, his conversation with your husband, Gabby's gone, call a lawyer, any other possible explanation other than she was dead? Mr. Mounts. Objection. Asked and answered. Roberta. That's what I was going to say. Question by Mr. Riley. But you can answer it. Roberta. Oh. A lot of things crossed my mind, and one of them was that maybe they got in a fight, and maybe she's going to press charges against him for maybe he hit her or something, which was the one thing that ran through my mind. A lot of things went through my mind of what do you need a lawyer for, but the fact that maybe he murdered her went through your mind, didn't it? Roberta, I don't know if I even wanted to. I think I was so panicky, it might have gone through my mind. I can't recall what I was thinking at the time. Well, from time to time, you had that from the time that you had that conversation on August 29th until September 1st, did it go through your mind that your son may have murdered Abby? Roberta, I can't recall. Something as significant as your son committing a murder, which you now know he did, you can't recall if you remember thinking that back in August or September of 2021. Mr. Gilbert, objection. She answered that already. Question by Mr. Riley, but you can answer it. Roberta, I don't remember all the thoughts I thought. I was panicking and thinking a lot of thoughts, and it's hard to think back to a time with new information what you thought at the time, but it probably went through my mind. Question, can you tell me back on August 29th of 2021 that the thought of Brian murdering Gabby didn't go through your head? Roberta, I can't remember specifically if it went through. What went through my head? Question, when Brian came home, well, strike that. How did it end up that Brian came home? Answer from Roberta. I think that night, but I can't recall with the records, but I thought that night he called back and said, I'm driving home. Question, who did he speak with? Roberta, me. Question, on August 29th? Roberta, I thought so, but now, well, my memory, I guess I could be wrong, but I thought that night, unless it was the next night, but I thought that night he said he was driving home. Question, you tried to call him at 7:12 p.m. and left a voicemail and message, or maybe left a voicemail message. You tried to call and didn't connect with him. Roberta, okay. Question, if you turn to page 27, line 432, on August 30th of 2021, he tried to call you at 8:07, so I'm guessing that would have probably been the 29th. He tried to call you, but that went to voicemail. Roberta, okay. Question, on the same date at 8:13:15, which I think would be August 29th, he tried to call you again, but that call didn't go through. It was unanswered. Roberta, okay. Mr. Gilbert, what line is that? Mr. Riley, that's 435. I'm sorry if I didn't say what line it was. And perhaps you did speak with him. Hold on just a second. At line 439, August 30th, August 29th, excuse me, at what would have been at 10:38 at night, there's a 22-minute phone call with him. Is that when you recall having that phone call with him? Roberta, yeah, I remember it was before I was going to bed, and I thought Chris was already asleep, and I remember that he said he was going to. He was driving home. Question, your husband was already asleep at that point after getting a phone call from your son that Gabby was gone. He was frantic. Call a lawyer. Roberta, was that all the same day? Question, yes. Roberta, well, it was a long weekend. We've been away. We've been at the beach with the kids and the race, and he falls asleep early. Question, wow, what did you speak with Brian about on August 29th at about 10 o'clock? Roberta, that was when he said he was driving home. Question, And in that conversation with him, did you ask him any details about Gabby being gone? Roberta, no. Question, why not? Roberta, I don't know. I guess I was nervous. I was upset. I was tired. I think at that point, Stephen had already said, don't talk about anything. I can't remember. Question, well, this is... Roberta, I don't. Question, this is a girl you told me you loved. Someone you loved. Someone who was going to become a part of your family, and you asked no questions about her, of your son, when you learned that she was gone, correct? Roberta, correct. Question, weren't you concerned about her? Roberta, I think I was. It was my son. I was concerned for my son. Question, what were you concerned about your son? Roberta, he was driving home. He was upset. I knew he wanted Chris to call a lawyer, and so I knew there were, so I think I was just telling him, excuse me, if you're coming home, I don't remember what we talked about. I just remember that he was coming home, and I didn't ask him anything. Question, if Gabby had just walked off on her own, would you have told your son to drive home in her van with all of her stuff in it? Roberta, no, I didn't tell him to drive home. He just said he was on his way, and I thought it really is Brian's van. Maybe her parents would pick her up or come get her. I don't know. Question, well, you told me the title, that you saw the title was in Gabby's name, so why would you think it was Brian's van? Roberta, because I believe he paid for it. He worked on it. I believe it was his. I think it was just a nice gesture that he put it in her name. I know she couldn't afford to pay for her, or didn't want to pay for her. She was leasing a car and she didn't want, and Brian was paying for the lease, and she finally drove home and left the car at her parents' house, and so I think he just wanted to put the van in her name to be nice, but I don't remember her even driving it. Question. So when you learned your son was on the way back, you didn't say to him, wait a minute, what about Gabby? You have all of her belongings in the van? You can't just leave her there. Roberta, well, Mr. Meltz, object to the form, Mr. Riley. You can answer. Answer by Roberta. Oh, I just figured, it was his van. And I know when my daughter broke up with her boyfriend, they divided their belongings. Later, sometimes, Question, did your daughter kill her boyfriend? Roberta, I never asked. Question, you never asked? Roberta, they broke up, and I never asked my daughter why they broke up. I mean, when people break up, I don't ask the details. Question, did you have any concerns that the young lady that you loved, who you described as sweet, loving, friendly, someone who was going to be your daughter-in-law, part of your family, she lived with you, did you have any concerns that her body might have been laying out somewhere unprotected? Roberta, no, I didn't think of that, but I was concerned for her well-being because I cared about her, but my son's driving home and I'm nervous for him. And question, oh, you're concerned about her well-being? So what did you do about her well-being? Roberta, well, just Gabrielle, I thought she always could take care of herself, and I was just concerned about my son at the time, and I figured maybe her parents could come get her, or she would. Last time he left her in a hotel. Maybe question, How would her parents come and get her? Roberta, like they could drive out or fly out. Question. And where would they go? Answer by Roberta. Well, I don't know. Wherever she was. Question. Where was she? Roberta. Out west on their vacation, their trip. Question. Where in particular? Roberta. Actually, I didn't really follow. I didn't keep track of where they were on their vacation. Question. You had Gabby's phone number, didn't you? Roberta. Yes. Question. You're concerned about her well-being. Did you try to call her? Roberta. No. Question. Did you see Brian bringing things into the house? Roberta. Not. I think so. I think I recall him bringing stuff in. Was some of it Gabby stuff? Roberta. I didn't look at what he was bringing in. Question. You know that eventually her stuff was found inside your house, correct? Answer by Roberta. Yes. Question. Including her laptop? Roberta. Oh, I don't remember what they found. They gave me a list of things they took, but I don't remember if her laptop was there. Question. Okay, so when Brian gets home, you expressed your concern about Gabby. Did you ask him about Gabby? Roberta. No, I think by that time my attorney advised me not to talk about anything, so I just gave him something to eat and we didn't talk about anything. Question. As a mother, as someone who had loved Gabby despite what your lawyer said, why don't you ask questions of your son? Mr. Gilbert. Objection to the form. You can answer. The witness. Okay, but that's what Stephen told us to do, and that's just what I did. Mr. Riley. Okay, she could write her off that easily. Mr. Gilbert. Objection. Roberta. I wasn't writing her off. Mr. Riley. Why didn't you contact Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt? Mr. Gilbert. Objection. It's been asked and answered. Mr. Riley. I never asked her that. Oh, shoot. I just dropped my stuff here. Okay. Where am I? Okay, the witness, Roberta. Well, just my attorney told me not to talk to anybody, so I just didn't talk to anybody. Mr. Riley. Had you met Nicole Schmidt before? Roberta. Yes. Question. On how many occasions? Roberta. Once, twice. Question. Had you ever met Joe Petito? Roberta. Never. Question. Did Nicole Schmidt, after September 1st, ever try to contact you by phone? Answer by Roberta. After September 1st, yes. Did you answer the call? Roberta, no. Question. Only because of your attorney's advice? Yes. Did she ever send you a text? Yes. And did you answer the text? No. Because of your attorney's advice? Yes. Did you block her on your phone? No. Okay. Did she reach out to you through Facebook Messenger? Roberta. I don't know. I wasn't really, no, not that I know of. I wasn't really on Facebook. Question. Did you and Brian ever communicate through Facebook Messenger? Answer. I don't believe so, no. I don't even know if I had Facebook, unless it was like in high school. Question. Since August 29th of 2021, have you ever tried to reach out to Joseph Petito or Nicole Schmidt? Answer. No. Question. When Brian came home, what did you do? Brian and your husband. Roberta, we mostly stayed home, prepared meals, went out to dinner, I think once or twice, and watched TV. Not much. Question, you went on vacation, didn't you? Roberta, oh, yes. And we went overnight to Fort DeSoto because we had reservations. We had bought a camper and we wanted to test it out. Your question, your life went on as normal. Roberta, well, we did normal things, yes. Question, how could you go on vacation knowing that Gabby was gone while the Petito family was looking for her? Mr. Meltz, object to the form. Roberta, we just had planned to go and test out the camper overnight, and we were just doing our regular things. I didn't know. Question by Mr. Riley. Well, you had a reservation for Fort DeSoto for a different time, hadn't you? Roberta, I believe it was that same weekend, but maybe a longer time frame. Mr. Riley, let's take a break. They took a recess for 10 minutes. Question by Mr. Riley. Mrs. Laundrie, at some point, Brian left your house, and I think your husband testified yesterday that was September 13th. Does that sound correct? Roberta, yes. Question, by the way, does Mr. Bertolino still represent you and your husband? Roberta, I believe so, yes. Question, for what, without going into much detail, anything related to this case? Roberta, I always think of him as my attorney for everything, but, so yeah, for this case? Question, okay. Roberta, I guess so, that's why he's here, right? Question, so when Brian left, what was his demeanor? Roberta, when he left that morning to go hiking? He was just going hiking. Question, you knew he was leaving to go hiking? Answer, yes. Roberta. Question, Attorney Bertolino has stated on several occasions that Brian was grieving when he left. Was he grieving? Roberta, I didn't see him as grieving. I wouldn't use the word grieving. I don't know. He was, I guess, worried and concerned, and I know he was talking to Stephen on the phone, but we tried to keep things. Stephen Bertolino told us just keep him close and keep him calm, and that's what we did. Question, did you ever see him as grieving after he returned on September 1st? Roberta, I don't know what he was thinking or feeling. Question, he was your son, right? And she nods affirmatively. Question, yes? Roberta, yes. Question, and you never discussed what happened out in Wyoming with him? Roberta, no. Question, did Attorney Bertolino tell you why you shouldn't discuss it with him? Roberta, no. He just told us to keep him safe, keep him close, and don't talk to him about anything. He was representing Brian. Brian was Stephen's client, and that was it. And we stayed close in the background, kept him safe, kept him close. Question, did Mr. Bertolino tell you not to speak with Brian about what happened in Wyoming so that you wouldn't know whether he did or didn't murder Gabby? Mr. Gilbert, objecting to the form, but you can answer. Roberta, I don't know why Stephen gave us the advice he gave us. It's just what he gave us. Question, and Mr. Riley, Well, as a mother, you have a natural instinct to want to speak with your child if he's hurting, don't you? Roberta, yes. Question, did you have the natural instinct with Brian when he came home after September 1st? Roberta, well, not to talk, to pump him for questions, but certainly to love him and feed him and hug him and, give him lots of love and keep him safe and close. Question, so you didn't, Roberta, as our attorney advised us. Question, sorry, are you finished? Roberta, yes. Question, so you didn't want to know what it was that was making him so upset? Roberta, well, I just followed Stephen's advice and I, left. I tried not to, I left him be. Question, so you put your motherly instinct aside and followed an attorney's advice? Roberta, well, I think it was my motherly instinct to follow the attorney's advice to do what was best for my son, and that's what I was doing. Question, were you concerned your son was going to go to prison? Roberta, at that time, I don't remember if that thought crossed my mind. Question, well, that would be pretty traumatic thing, wouldn't it? Question, Roberta, my son going to prison? Question, yeah. Roberta, yes. And question, you can't remember it back in September of 2021 that thought of your son going to prison ever crossed your mind? Roberta, I don't remember her. I had a lot of worries, and I don't remember every thought or worry specifically. Question, what were your worries? Roberta, that Brian would be okay. Question, okay about what? Roberta, whatever the issue was that he had to deal with Stephen and Gabrielle, and it would all end well. That was my hope. Question, and what did you think maybe the issue was? Roberta, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to ask, and I was told not to ask, and so I did just kept Brian close, kept him home, safe, and didn't talk to him about anything, and I hope for the best. Question, so on August 29th, you learned from Brian that Gabby's gone, correct? Roberta, yes. Question, and did you think maybe she just walked off somewhere? Answer, that was another thought that I thought. Yeah. Question, had she ever done that before? Roberta, she often would come home at night or would disappear. Like, I was having a family dinner party and she didn't show up for it, and it turned out she was in New York but hadn't mentioned it, and so no, I didn't really keep track of her. She was independent. So what periods of time would she disappear for? Roberta, sometimes she'd go out at night. We didn't know where she was until 4 a.m, but she's not our daughter. I'm not going to tell her she can't go out at night. And sometimes she would. For instance, we were going to have a holiday and she knew I shopped and cooked and the recipes she liked, and I planned a recipe, and then she just wasn't there, and I thought, she's not going to be here for Easter, and it turned out that she'd gone back to New York. So, she wasn't mine to, if it was my daughter, I would have said, why didn't you tell me you were going to be here for Easter? Or, you should be here for Easter. But that wasn't my daughter. She's allowed to come and go as she pleases, and I'm not going to. It's different when you live with your daughter. That is just the girlfriend of my son. It's not my place to, she's allowed to come and go as she pleases. Question, what was the longest period of time she disappeared for? Roberta, well, I guess that was when she went back for Easter. I didn't know if even she was coming back. I don't know how many days that was. Question, okay, did it turn into weeks? Answer from Roberta. No, probably not. Question. Okay. So there comes a point when Gabby was gone for a longer period than she's ever been gone before, right? Answer. Well, maybe they broke up. I don't know, but that was the longest period. Yes. Question. And had there ever been a time when Gabby left for a period of time and Brian was upset and frantic and asked for a lawyer? Answer. No. Question. Yesterday your husband said that at some point a $25,000 retainer was given to attorney Bertolino. Do you remember him saying that? Roberta. Yes. Question. Do you remember when that check was given? Roberta. Early September, but I don't have the exact date. Question. Brian arrives home on September 1st. How soon after that is the check issued to attorney Bertolino? Answer from Roberta. Probably that very day. Question. Okay. So when Stephen Bertolino said in the press that he wasn't retained until September 11th, that is not correct. Mr. Meltz, object to the form. Roberta. Well, I don't believe that check was to retain Mr. Bertolino. Question by Mr. Riley. Then why were you giving Mr. Bertolino $25,000? Roberta. He was going to retain lawyers out west in case Brian needed help out west. Question. Why would Brian have needed help out west with? What would Brian needed help? Question. Roberta. I don't know. That was between Brian and his attorney, and I didn't get involved. Question. Okay, so you wrote a check for $25,000, or your husband wrote a check for $25,000 to attorney Bertolino and didn't ask what it was for. Roberta. Well, we did it to retain attorneys, to retain attorneys out west on Brian's behalf. Question. Was any part of that $25,000 for attorney Bertolino? Roberta. I really don't know what he does with funds, but it was my understanding that it was for the attorneys out west, but you'd have to ask Mr. Bertolino. Well, you're the one that retained him, you and your husband. Roberta. Right. Question. Can you tell me who retained him? Can you tell me what you retained attorney Bertolino for? Roberta. Later, we retained attorney Bertolino to defend us against the plaintiffs, Petito and Schmidt, versus me and my husband. Question. Yesterday, your husband testified that when he sent that $25,000 check, it was to represent you and he and your son. Do you recall him saying that? Roberta. I do. Question. Okay. Is he incorrect? Answer. Yeah, it was I don't know if he's incorrect, but it was my understanding. We might just have different understandings, but it was my understanding that it was to retain the attorneys out west. Question. Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that you were in need of an attorney when that retainer was sent to attorney Bertolino? Answer. Roberta. No. Question. Okay. To your knowledge, were you ever the subject of a criminal investigation? Roberta. Was I ever? I believe so, yes. Question. When? Roberta. Well, while Brian was missing, my attorney informed me that the FBI wanted to question me. So if that's considered an investigation, then yes. Question. Question you about what? Roberta. I guess if I knew where Brian was, or I didn't know what they wanted to question me about. I didn't think they wanted to. I didn't know what they wanted to question me about. I think they said something about they had something electronic that I had done, or that they I'm assuming it was that they wanted, I think Mr. Bertolino told me that they wanted to question me if I knew where Brian was. Question, okay. Roberta, that's my understanding, Mr. Riley, okay? Mr. Riley, okay. Off the record, recess, again. Question by Mr. Riley, did anyone ever tell you that you were being investigated for having committed a crime? Answer by Roberta, no. I think they just wanted to question me. Now, I'm not sure of the distinction. I don't know if they were investigating me for a crime or if they just wanted to question me about the whereabouts of Brian. I think they just wanted to maybe charge me with something, or they thought they could. I don't know. I'm unclear on that. Question. Well, did you have a conversation with Attorney Bertolino about you being investigated for committing a crime? Answer by Roberta, yes. Question, when? Roberta, when Brian was missing and he said the FBI wanted to talk to me about something electronic. They thought I had done, so I guess that was a crime, yes. Question, do you know what it was electronic that they think you did? Roberta, the one thing I could think of was possibly when I accompanied Brian to the cell phone store. Maybe they thought that was wrong, but I don't know. I don't see how keeping company at the cell phone store was wrong. And that's all I could think of. Question. So Brian left on the 13th, correct? Answer, yes. Question. When did you report him missing? Answer, that night. Question. The 13th? Answer, yes. Question. Okay. And when was it that Attorney Bertolino told you that the FBI wanted to speak with you? Roberta, I don't recall. Question. Was it the next day? The same day? Days later? Roberta, I have no recollection. Sometime in that, before we found Brian. Question. Were any charges ever filed against you and your husband? Answer. No. Mr. Riley, I'm sorry. I don't know why I have 2 copies. Mr. Melt, we got it yesterday. I don't know. Plaintiff's Exhibit 3, marked for identification. Mr. Riley, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 3 for your deposition here today. Roberta, can I clarify a question from a while ago that I was just thinking about? Question, sure. Roberta, when you asked about our camping trip, I just want to make it clear that we checked with Mr. Bertolino before we went camping, so I didn't want you to think that we were just going about. You know, I checked to make sure that was okay, and he said, just do what you would normally do, and we were normally going camping, and so that's why we went. Question, what did you check with him to see if that would be okay? Why did you check with him? Roberta, because we weren't sure if... He said keep him close and keep him... And we just wanted to make sure that he would be okay. Question. Okay. Taking a look at what's been marked as Exhibit 3, do you recognize that? Roberta, yes. Question. That's Mr. Bertolino's statement as of September 14th, 2021. Roberta, yes. Question. And he was speaking on your behalf, was he not? Roberta, yes. Question. Okay. And did you review this statement before he released it? Roberta, I don't recall, but I'm sure we approved all the statements Stephen made, so we must have. Question. Okay, so you approved this statement before it was released. Roberta, I don't specifically remember, but I'm sure I did. Question. What was the purpose of releasing this statement? Roberta, oh, there was so much. There were people outside on doors, banging on our doors, banging on our windows, sending us death threats. It was, I think the purpose was just sort of to calm down the public. So that we know we'd we did extend our best wishes to the Petitos because the people were screaming that we were horrible things at us, and that we felt that this would calm them down so that they would know, no, we do care, and we were hoping it would calm the public down. It was a very scary time. We couldn't leave the house. It was frightening. Question: did it calm the public down? Answer: no. Question: what about this statement led you to believe it might calm the public down? Roberta: that we did care, that we were, and they were demanding a statement from us, and we just felt we should give them a statement. If they were demanding a statement from us, it could get even worse. The media started to pressure us and got very ugly, and not just the media, but all kinds of crazy people. Question: the statement says it's extremely difficult time for both the Petito family and the Laundrie family. Answer: Roberta: yes. Question: how was it a difficult time for the Laundrie family? Roberta: we didn't know where Brian was, and he was missing, and I think by then we had people screaming outside the door. It was just a difficult time. Question: was it unusual for Brian to go off on his own for a period of time? Roberta: oh, he always hiked. Question: right. Roberta: I mean hiking, yes. Question: and it wasn't unusual for him to go away for days at a time, right? Roberta: well, yeah, he would go on those long trips with Gabrielle, and you know. Question: so why did you become concerned on the evening of the 13th when he didn't come home? Answer: because he said he was coming home. He said, see you later. And so when he didn't come, hold on a minute. Wait a second. Okay, so why did you become because he did not come home. See you later. And so when he didn't come home for dinner, you know, we were concerned. Question: if Brian was missing, why wasn't that included in the statement asking for help locating Brian? Roberta: I don't know. I'm sure he left that morning. I guess we just hope he'd come back that day or the next day. I mean, every day we hoped he'd come back. Think. Question: but you said you reported it to the police on the 13th. Roberta: right. Well, the day he left, which I think was the 13th. Question: right. And this was... Roberta: oh, not the police. No, we reported it to the FBI, and they had a liaison, and I just assumed the Northport Police and the FBI Police Department had a liaison, so I assumed if we were reporting to the FBI, then they would be going to report it, they're going to just share that information. Question: are you certain you reported it to the FBI on the night of the 13th? Roberta: yes. Okay. Roberta: not me personally, Brian's attorney. Mr. Bertolino? Yes. So you were concerned enough about him being missing on the 13th that you called your attorney, Bertolino, and he called the FBI? Yes. But that's not included in this statement. Asking for help, looking for Brian is not included in this statement. Roberta: no, because I don't think we needed help looking for him. We just wanted to let the FBI know he hadn't come home, and I was worried about him, but I don't think I was worried enough to alert the media, and I was just worried about him. Hey, hold on a minute. Question. The next paragraph says it's our understanding that a search has been organized for Miss Petito in the Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. All right. How did you learn that? Roberta? Oh, I guess on the news. Or was it? It must have been on the news. Question. And when it says "are" and you approved this statement, did you understand that was "are" meaning you, your husband, and Mr. Bertolino? Roberta. I probably didn't read it so closely to recognize the word "are," but I'm assuming it was on, yes, I'm sure all of us were concerned. We were all concerned about Gabrielle, me, Stephen, and Chris. Question. Okay, was Brian in Grand Teton National Park before he came home? Answer. You know, I don't know the area and I don't know where they were, so I don't know. I don't know Grand Teton National Park. I know where they were camping, or I didn't. Question. It then goes on to state, on behalf of the Laundrie family, it is our hope that the search for Miss Petito is successful. Answer, yes. Question, and that Miss Petito is reunited with her family. Answer, yes. Question, did I read that correctly? Answer, yes. Question, this was issued for 16 to 17 days after you'd learned that Gabby was, quote, unquote, gone correct. Yes. Well, did you have at least one time during that search for Miss Petito where he was going? What hope did you have what hope did you have at that time that search for Miss Petito was going to be successful? We hoped for the best. We hoped that we would find her and she would be fine, and that was our hope. We hoped for the best, and we sincerely hoped for the best and wanted to extend that to the Petito Schmidt family. Question. What led you to believe that she might be reunited with her family? Roberta. Well, nothing led me to believe. I just hoped it. They were looking for her, so... Question. Well, you pretty much knew she was dead at that time, didn't you? Mr. Gilbert. Objection to the form. Question. Answer by Roberta. No. I hoped for the best. We planned for the worst in case we got Brian a lawyer. But we certainly hoped for the best. Question by Mr. Riley. Where was I? Okay, well, let's put September 14th, 2021 in perspective. 16 or 17 days prior to that time you spoke with your son, he was upset, correct? Roberta. Yes. Question. You learned from your husband that he told your husband Gabby was gone, correct? Correct. And that whatever occurred, your son needed a lawyer, correct? Yes. Question. And now this is 17 days later. Brian did hear from Gabby. Did he? Question. Roberta. Not that I know of. Question. You didn't hear from Gabby, did you? Roberta. No. Question. There were all kinds of news reports about the family begging for help, looking for Gabby. Wasn't there finding Gabby? Answer, yes. Question, okay, with all that in perspective, what led you to believe she might still be alive? Roberta, I just had hope. I've heard of stories where, people are looking for their daughter and they find her much later, and so I just never wanted to give up hope. Question. Did you wonder why before you gave $25,000 to Attorney Bertolino, why your son needed a lawyer? Roberta, yes. Question, okay, what was your thought about that? There's the answer. He must have done something or something that would have happened that he could get in trouble for. And whatever it was, we wanted a lawyer for him. Question. Your husband testified yesterday that when Brian called you on August 29th, he was in Jackson, Wyoming. Roberta, yes. Right. Question. Were you aware of that? Answer. By Roberta. I think he told me when he got, well, I wasn't. Brian didn't tell me that, but I don't know when I first heard the word Jackson. Maybe when Chris said to me when I got off the phone or with Stephen. But I don't even know where Jackson is. Question. Did you ever consider that this statement might be upsetting to Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt? Roberta. No, not at all. Question. Did you ever consider it was giving them false hope that their daughter was still alive? Roberta. I had hope she was alive. I wasn't giving false hope. I didn't know that until I heard it on the news that she was gone. I had hope also. Question. Well, you had hope, but you also didn't know Brian told you she was gone. And that he needed a lawyer. And no one had heard from her for a long time, right? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And you realized that there was a likelihood that she was deceased, correct? Roberta. I don't know if I thought there was a likelihood. I just hoped she would be all right. I never imagined we would end like this. Question. You know, when this statement was issued, she wasn't going to be reunited alive with her family. Isn't that right, Mr. Gilbert? Objection to the form. Roberta. No, I didn't know. I didn't know Gabrielle was gone until I heard it on the news. By Mr. Riley. On September 16th, the Northport police announced that they knew exactly where Brian was. Roberta. Yes. Question. Did you recall that? Roberta. Yes. Question. Did you call and ask him where he was? Question. Roberta. No, I didn't call and ask them where he was. Hold on. Where he was. I was just relieved that they knew where he was. I was very happy when I heard that they knew where he was. Question. Well, you were desperate to know where he was, weren't you? Yeah, I wanted to know where my son was. And yeah. Question. If someone knew where he was, wouldn't you want to know that? I don't know that I'm going to be able to finish this tonight. It's almost 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm exhausted and there's still more. We're going to have a part 3, unfortunately. I'm going to play word cookies and then I'm going to go to bed because I'm very tired. I've had a tremendously long day. I was out all day, didn't get back until, that's why the sale was so late. And I'm just exhausted. So I am going to do the word cookies. I did the daily puzzle yesterday on my own because I forgot it, and I was going to do something in the afternoon and I didn't get to it. So that's what we're doing. I thought I had one. Oh. Oh my gosh, stop. Mel Tomei. Remoter. I was thinking about that. Oh my gosh, I don't know here. Tremor. Oh, please be right, because I have to. Tremor. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's all I can do. My eyes are tearing. All right, everybody, I'm going to go to sleep. Got to find out how to end this live. Thank you so much for watching. I'll do part 3 tomorrow, God willing. I'm just so stinking tired. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super stickers. Thank you guys for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless. Prayers for all that are going through things. And I pray things are good for all. And take care. Love you guys. God bless. Bye.